The Constitution of the United States was written by slaveholders to protect slavery, not incidentally, not reluctantly, deliberately. My name is Professor Khaleed. Welcome back to Journey Through the Colonial Archives. In our last episode, we named and read the 5 lives of the Declaration of Independence. Today, we follow the paper trail to Philadelphia 11 years later, to the summer of 1787, the year that marks the official beginning of the nation's dissociative identity disorder. This is the story of the Constitution of the United States, and what the archive reveals about this document will permanently change the way you see the country. Most Americans are taught that the Constitution is the world's greatest governing document, a timeless expression of democratic principles that has guided the Republic for nearly 2.5 centuries. That teaching is not entirely wrong, but it is also not entirely correct. The Constitution is a remarkable feat of political architecture. But beneath the architecture is something civics textbooks dare not name. With full awareness of what he was doing and why, James Madison, the Constitution's primary author, clearly describes 2 Americas. The Constitution contains 3 specific provisions that encoded inequality and racial hierarchy into the supreme law of the land. Each was carefully negotiated, each was deliberately designed, and each has left consequences that reach directly into the present. The first is the 3/5 Compromise, Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3. It reads, "Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons 3/5 of all other persons." 3/5 of all other persons. The Constitution does not use the word slave. It uses the phrase other persons. But everyone in that room knew exactly who other persons meant, and everyone knew exactly what the provision accomplished. It gave Southern slaveholding states greater representation in Congress than their free population warranted, by counting 3/5 of their enslaved population for purposes of apportionment, while those same people had no vote, no rights, and no legal standing whatsoever. The more human beings a Southern planter owned, the more political power his state received. Slavery was not just an economic system. The Constitution made it a source of political power. Follow that trail forward. The 3/5 Clause gave the South a structural advantage in the House of Representatives and in the Electoral College that persisted for decades. It is why Southern slaveholders dominated the presidency, the Congress, and the Supreme Court for the first half of the nation's history. The political dominance of the planter elite, whose wealth we have already traced through the headright system, the Royal African Company, and the Virginia Slave Code, was written into the Constitution itself. Let that sink in. The second provision is the Fugitive Slave Clause, Article 4, Section 2, Clause 3. It reads, "No person held to service or labor in one state, under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due." Again, no mention of slavery, no mention of enslaved people, only the careful legal language of service and labor. But the meaning is precise, and the consequences were devastating. This clause further widened the gap between the 2 Americas. It made the Constitution of the United States a document that actively pursued freedom-seeking people across state lines and returned them to bondage. The third provision is the Slave Trade Clause, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 1. It reads, "The migration or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808. 20 years of constitutional protection for the transatlantic slave trade. Until 1808, 20 years after ratification, Congress was prohibited from restricting the importation of enslaved Africans. The Royal African Company's monopoly had ended. The trade had been opened to all comers, and the Constitution guaranteed that no federal law could touch it for 2 decades. Think seriously about what that meant. The population of enslaved people in America nearly doubled between 1787 and 1808. The wealth that doubled with it became the capital that financed American industrialization, American banking, and American global economic power. The Constitution did not merely tolerate slavery, it fueled it. Now, I want you to notice something about all 3 provisions. None of them uses the word slave. None of them mentions Africa or Africans. None of them acknowledges that what is being discussed is the ownership of human beings. That silence is not accidental. James Madison, the Constitution's primary architect, later explained that he thought it wrong to admit in the Constitution that there could be property in men. So instead of naming what they were doing, they used euphemism, words that disguised the truth. 2 Americas, one for the slave owners and one for the rest. This was not just a physical and economic divide, it was a psychic split. The archive does not allow us to call this a contradiction. It was a design. And through this design, the dividing of America was achieved. Here's what I need you to understand about why this matters today. The Constitution that Powell's Federalist Society has spent 50 years reshaping through judicial appointments, the document they claim to interpret according to the original intent of the founders, is this document. The one with the 3/5 clause, the fugitive slave clause, the slave trade clause. Originalism, the judicial philosophy that holds courts should interpret the Constitution according to the founders' original intent, is a political project that anchors American law to a document written to protect slavery. When the Supreme Court strikes down voting rights legislation, restricts access to the ballot, or rules against affirmative action in the name of the original Constitution, it is ruling in the name of a document that divides America in half and has continued to do so without interruption since 1787. You cannot change what you cannot see. Our next episode examines the Bill of Rights, specifically the Second Amendment in its original context as a provision designed to protect the slave patrol militias of the southern states. Join us.